Warwick Ellis, Material Civil Test Equipment, MatCiv Test. This is a short training video on using the latest controller for universal test machines and concrete compression test machines. First thing, we have this display up here. It's purely here to show a load being applied to the compression machine. This is the controller at the bottom. This is how the controller starts up. This is the introductory screen. This is meant to be an introduction when you have an existing template preset to show how simple it is to run a test. In this case, we have 5 recently used templates. So we select a recently used template, such as that one. It loads the template. We select that template. We have to turn the drive on to start any test. If you don't have these boxes over here, it's called the handset. So we can hide the handset, so there's no handset, but we want the handset on, so we want it shown because we need to turn the drive on to do the test. So the drive's now on, and we can start the test here. And the machine is now running and doing whatever is set up in that test template. This particular test template is has a preload status. It's a concrete compression machine, so currently it is closing the gap between the specimen and the upper platen, which takes a little bit of time. We have about 3-4 millimeters to go. You can see we're starting to touch now because we're getting some applied load to the compression machine. This particular test has a preload of 7 kilonewtons before the test starts. Please ignore the differences between the load here and here because the two machines are not calibrated together. The test is now underway. You'll see it's force. The force is climbing, right? So the test is now running. In this case, we're not going to let the test complete because it's a simple video. We can now stop the test. Right, so I've manually stopped the test. You can see the load is now going down. The bypass valve is open for 30 seconds, which lets the piston settle slowly for 30 seconds. When the bypass valve is complete, or we can cancel the bypass valve if we want, which we'll do. Oh no, it's already complete. 30 seconds is up. So you can see here's the results. We can save the results, right? We can save the results under the name. If we want, today's date is 25. I always put the date backwards. 03/24 test. So I've now saved that test result. So you can see this result here. If we want to do another test using the same procedure, I turn the drive on, put the specimen in obviously, and press start. And we're going again. You'll see the load's applied a lot quicker because the piston hasn't been allowed to go all the way to the bottom of stroke. getting closer. There's the preload away. What is interesting is that we now have two different graphs. You can see the green and the red graph on the screen at the same time because it stores the tests as you go. And we can save them as a batch, or you can look over one result and compare it to the previous result, depending on what you're doing. All right. So we've just gone past the previous test point. We've got the two here. If I touch this cell, you can see the red line is highlighted now. If I touch this one, the green one's highlighted, so you can actually highlight which test you want to particularly look at. I will stop that now. It's stopped by the user. The load is coming off. This is a manual bypass valve here. I can turn on the bypass valve manually, which lets the oil out. You can see the load coming back quite quickly when I've got it on. All right. Just to highlight something, I'm going to go into the settings. I'll go to the test procedure and the actual test down here. Here's the test. Just to show what you can do, we'll change the pace rate. It was set to 0.5 kilonewton a second. We've now changed it to 1 kilonewton a second. So I'll turn on the drive. I'll start the test again. So now it's applying the preload. The preload is an optional thing. It just happens to be the sample that I'm running at the moment. You can see here we've now got 3 lines on here. The yellow line is at 1 kilonewton a second. So you can see the gradient has changed. We'll highlight the green line, the red line, or the yellow line. There's the yellow line highlighted.